T-minus 60 seconds and counting. The vehicle now is completely pressurized. We're coming up on a power transfer shortly. The engines are armed. T-minus 10 seconds and counting. 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, 0. We have liftoff.
Eddie Reed, over.
Circuit pressure steady. Cabin pressure nominal.
Fuel cells amps 45. Voltage 28.
Oh my God! Look at that. Quick, get the camera. Good thing we've got color film.
Yeah, it's the only place with color.
The only place with life. Changes how you see everything, doesn't it?
We now know everywhere.
Everyone
is connected to everything. But as change accelerates,
complexity increases.
And threats grow.
the world needs to better understand how we are connected.
If we're to sustain life as we know it.
We in the GIS community can do this.
Because sustainability
begins with geography.
We can show how what happens there
impacts what's here.
How the systems that shape our lives
weave together
as one living,
evolving
organism. Whether we know it or not,
chose it or not,
as we map,
model,
and share our work.
And as we use remote sensing
and AI,
we are seeing the world in a whole new way
that will shape its evolution.
Together,
we are growing a living,
dynamic,
intelligent,
collaborative GIS,
an emerging digital twin of the planet.
We are shaping
a common language
that empowers everyone
to break down silos,
come together,
to make things better,
and decide what's next.
Whether our work is to manage,
plan,
design,
build,
help,
heal,
nurture.
We can do anything,
anywhere.
because we have the power to integrate everything.
Everywhere.
Imagine what we can do together.
Good afternoon. My name is Dwayne Eagle, Managing Director of Eagle Technology. On behalf of all the team at Eagle, we want to offer you a very warm welcome to the 2025 New Zealand Esri User Conference. I'm particularly excited to be back here in Christchurch. It's been 2 years since we were last here, and this is an amazing conference centre at Te Pai. We also want to know that we really appreciate you as individuals making the effort to join us here, as well as your organisations supporting us, supporting you to be here, to connect, learn and share. We recognise that this is an investment, but one that we are focused on making as valuable as possible for you all. The theme for our conference is to integrate everything everywhere. which is the essence of what GIS does for us all. To give us examples of how this is being done, the GIS community and the Eagle team have been working hard to bring together 3 days of valuable content. This includes the latest technology updates, views of what's to come, the real stories from organisations across the country and beyond. Many of you will also have attended the 2 pre-conference events aimed at particular parts of the GIS community, namely the GIS Emergency Management and Infrastructure Summits. And it was great to see such support for these extremely important events. Whatever discipline or area of work you are focused on, I want to personally encourage all of you to make the most of this time we have together to learn, connect, share, and celebrate our collective work and achievements. Speaking of celebrations, one long-standing highlight of this event for over 20 years is the fancy dress gala dinner. We will be sharing more information on this later, but we look forward to seeing you all there in costume, of course. I want to acknowledge the ongoing and invaluable support of the New Zealand Esri user group, an organisation who have been part of this event's success for well over 20 years. Alongside our own Eagle team, we are very lucky to have a number of special guests joining us at this year's conference. This includes a great team from Esri, and you'll be hearing from some of them later this afternoon and tomorrow morning. There are some new faces to our event, including Brian Cross, who's an Executive Director at Esri, Sarah Sain Ruth, who's the Lead Product Manager for Mobile and Field Operations, as well as some more familiar Esri faces, Brett Dixon, Asia Pacific Lead for Infrastructure, and Kristen Gonzalez, International Business Development Manager. Together, the Esri and Eagle teams are here to support your own work. So please make sure you connect with them at the sessions and also at the Eagle stand in the expo area just out here. Finally, it is now my great pleasure to now pass across to someone who I know you all know and who has his own short message for you. Esri's founder and president, Jack Dangermond. Thank you.
Hi, my name is Jack Dangermond, and I get to join Dwayne and others here at Eagle in welcoming all of you to this conference here in Christchurch. The purpose of this meeting is really grounded in the purpose of Esri. It's all about supporting you. It's about helping you learn and grow in your work and make some friends, learn about new technology, share what you're doing, and help reinforce building of this GIS community across the South Pacific and of course, centered in New Zealand. We're going to have a really exciting time at this conference because at this moment in our history, what we're seeing is a growth and understanding of the power of geography, the science of our world, and GIS. You're going to see lots of new advancements in measurement technology and integration technology and how it's applied right across the whole region in the country. My colleague, Brian Cross, who runs professional services at Esri, is going to deliver our keynote today. And we've been working on, for some time, getting this information together to share with you. It's really kind of a report card of everything we're doing in California and around the world to advance the platform so that you can do your work better. It's going to be an exciting experience because we also have some special presenters that are going to show you what's going on in AI and geospatial infrastructure and how that's all evolving to create a more sustainable and wonderful future for all of us. So thank you. I wish I could join you down there. It's one of my favorite places in the world. But in the future, I hope to be there with you. Good luck to you.
Good afternoon. It's really great to be here at this event, and I want to add to the welcomes from Jack and from Dwayne to welcome you all to this amazing event. My name is Scott Campbell. I'm the head of GIS technology at Eagle. My job this afternoon is to take you through some of this content we have at this plenary session, some of the demonstrations and the stories which hope will inform you and inspire you to do your own work. As Dwayne and Jack also said, the purpose of this event is to connect, to learn, to share, and also to have fun. We look forward to doing all three of these over the next 3 days, starting with some great presentations that we want to share with you in this session, both from the high-level perspective from the product perspective, and then from the feature function perspective. In terms of the audience in this room, geographically, you're very diverse. You represent several different countries and come from across not just New Zealand, but this region as a whole, from the South Pacific, New Zealand, and from further afield. You also represent many different industries, very different organizations, and we really appreciate you joining us here in Christchurch, as Dwayne said. Before we get into the presentations, what we wanted to do is take a little while to share some of the work that you've shared with us about how you're applying GIS across those different disciplines, those different geographies, and those different organizations. First, let's take a look at this work being done by local and regional government across the country. GIS has been long used by councils to do key aspects of their important work, from planning through to asset management and way beyond. Councils use GIS to engage their ratepayers on core topics such as flood mapping, property mapping, and travel planning. In this example on the left, going from QLDC, viewing travel routes in 2D and 3D around the mountainous terrain of the Southern Lakes. Another couple of examples are the two from Wellington and from Christchurch City Council, using GIS to support locals and visitors alike to explore the cities and surrounding areas on foot. Finally, councils are also prominent amongst those users who've been working with AI to take their analysis workflows further, to extract valuable insights from imagery and other data sources, such as this Ngāhere Artificial Intelligence project by Auckland Council. Planning is also a key function of many councils, and I wanted to call out these two examples here where we're planning in 3D. The first, where they're teaching planning at Fiji National University, using 3D and GIS to understand the impact of changes in an urban environment. And this other example, a bit closer to home from Queenstown, where they're looking at the impact of vegetation on the planning environment for their peninsula. For many councils, a key part of using GIS to engage and share information with the public is Eagle's own local maps, a technology built on top of the ArcGIS platform, with many having already moved to the latest version, version 3, to take advantage of the new capabilities and updated architecture. And we'll see more examples of this and the technology in action this afternoon. GIS has long been employed by the forestry organizations that we have to manage their work, and it's also increasingly been used by the agriculture sector. 3 examples here illustrate the variety of uses, as well as the geographic spread, including use there by Fiji pine and closer to home in the Bay of Plenty. Data-driven GIS dashboards are used by organizations every day for almost every type of monitoring. That combination of graphs and GIS data, often updated in real time from sources like sensors or field operations, allow decision makers to make decisions at a glance by looking at a single pane of glass to understand how the real world is performing while remaining in their office, for example. From water leaks or electric network faults here in the South Island to pest control over in South Australia, from healthcare provision monitoring in Fiji to health and safety status in the Raukumara Ranges. These same dashboard apps are deployed in the NEMA MAR Centre in Wellington also, as part of their vital monitoring displays, where they use this information to share vital insights across NEMA and wider. Earlier today, we heard the first IMGIS New Zealand event, a gathering of over 100 people from 50 organizations using GIS for managing New Zealand's key infrastructure. That event and these examples here highlight the vital and varied way that GIS is applied to ensure the smooth operation of New Zealand's electric, gas, water, and other networks. From Transpower and also Marble lines leveraging LiDAR and deep learning models to monitor tree growth and potential vegetation encroachment risks, through to First Gas using oriented imagery and 3D to survey their gas network easements. In the South Island, Network Waitaki's use of the utility network to both understand the trace of electric impact, the impact of a trace on electric networks in real time, and to create network diagrams to provide a clear schematic view that helps data engineers quickly understand network connectivity. Upstream of all that, at the generation end of the network, Genesis Energy have created a web application for identifying all of their properties, their generation assets, their transmission lines, and also their telco networks, all in a simple-to-use web application. As we know, maps are an amazing way to engage. And this example on the left shows the flood hazard map and ArcGIS portal being used by the Solomon Islands to allow citizens to see very clearly how future and current flooding may affect the areas that they care about most. The example on the right is a particularly interesting one from Fire and Emergency New Zealand, FENS. This was using GIS to drive digital advertising, promoting domestic fire awareness. Research shows that people are more likely to act on fire safety when they're aware of nearby incidents, as it triggers "it could happen to me" thinking. FENS created an automated GIS workflow to identify key areas which should be targeted following any recent nearby fires. Over 3 months, the system deployed over 695,000 advertisements in response to the around 300 fires where a digital billboard was within 3 kilometers of the fire, using geographic knowledge to connect the information with the target audience. As a result, the 3-step fire escape plans which FENS are promoting increased significantly in the areas where advertising had been promoted. Here are some more examples of GIS being used to engage, and in this case, demonstrating that maps can also be art. Whether they're bringing to life the wonders of the natural world, as in these beautifully rendered river and bathymetry images, or they're telling the story of the amazing feats of humans, as in the case here elegantly showing the journey of Shackleton and his crew on the Southern Ocean. Finally, I want to share some examples of use of GIS in the area of conservation and biodiversity management, where not only is the work being done vital for the planet, but it also sees incredible innovation. The images here show various different uses of GIS, from sophisticated analytics for understanding forest health, to using different approaches to understand ecosystems, including investigating wetland feasibility. The example at the top is from Ethos Environmental, and they're, to my mind, the perfect combination of 3 things: smart devices, smart artificial intelligence, and a smart dog, help keeping our region pest-free. I now want to move on from these great examples of GIS work and move to the first of our guest presenters today. Brian Cross is one of Esri's corporate directors based in Redlands in California. Brian has been at Esri for over 25 years, including leading Esri's global professional services team and supervising the development of key products, such as in the areas of real-time analytics, indoor GIS, and mapping and charting. His involvement with literally hundreds of projects over this time has given him a unique perspective on both the role GIS plays in solving real-world problems and how this application of GIS is evolving. Now, despite this being Brian's first time at the New Zealand Esri User Conference, he isn't in New Zealand for the first time. In fact, he's pretty familiar with New Zealand and the South Island, Tuwaipunamu in particular, having studied at Otago University in the 1990s. In fact, there may be some of his classmates in the room right now. If you recognize Brian, shout out. So please join me in welcoming to the stage Brian Cross.
Am I on? There we go. Kia ora. Nice to see you. Good afternoon. It really is a privilege and honor to be back in New Zealand. As Scott said, it's been a couple years, maybe 30 since I was here last, but it is wonderful to be back. And I have the privilege to represent Esri, to be here from the headquarters in California to talk with you about where we're going and where we're headed, along with a really excellent team. But I wanted to first start just by noting that you have a tremendous reputation. This user community in New Zealand is known throughout the world as being one of the most progressive and impactful user groups that we see. So I wanted to acknowledge you, and I'm so excited to hear more about what you're doing over the course of our time together for the next few days. Now, I'd like to begin by going back to where we started this meeting a few minutes ago. This shot from Apollo was notorious, super well known, from 1968. It was taken on Christmas Eve, you may know, and it changed the world. This was a time of increased awareness. The environmental movement was rising, the dialogue was changing, but this shot galvanized the world to think differently. In fact, the astronauts who witnessed this use words like living, fragile, connected, no borders, and notions like we share the same home. It's one humanity. And it really is an inflection point for us. And I would say you, the GIS community, maybe appreciate this better than any other profession. We know that we live in a living ecosystem. It's fragile. It's the foundation for all of life as we know it. And the world is evolving rapidly. Our activities, human race, is increasingly impacting the planet and leading to some pretty challenging things. It's not a lot of fun to open a conference thinking about the impacts of our collective actions, but it's important to pause and think about this. In fact, it surrounds us every day. You look at the news, you see the world we're in. There's all kinds of challenges that we face. And some would say it maybe threatens our very existence, the sustainability of life. And we know that our world needs a new approach, one that integrates our best thinking, our knowledge, creates a shared understanding, a framework for collaboration, and holistic problem solving. Geography, of course, the science of our world, is central. It provides a scientific lens for seeing, integrating, and understanding. And the language of our industry, maps, is a common reference for everyone, telling stories about everything, everywhere. This isn't new. Geography and maps have been critical throughout evolution of society, culture, civilization. From the very early days of drawing maps in the dirt to hand-drawn cartography, beautiful, maybe not perfectly accurate by today's standards, but created the compelling stories and awareness that allowed civilization to grow and thrive. And today, GIS continues that journey, maybe at an increasingly fast rate. We're expanding, we're integrating geography and mapping everywhere. And in doing so, we're making geographic knowledge available broadly. GIS is unique in its ability to abstract our world as maps, as layers. I don't need to tell you all this because you do it every day, but it's important to put that into context because we're providing a framework of sorts for integrating all types of information, bringing all of the ologies together, all of the business information, everything together to make better decisions. And that is creating a really interesting impact in integrating organizations, bringing people down together from different silos, enabling cross-cutting collaboration and creating shared understanding. In just about every discipline of GIS, we bring people together, which helps people find new ways to collaborate, new ways to communicate, and ultimately solve problems holistically. And while we integrate organizations, we also integrate information and information systems, transforming how groups and organizations work together, creating a sort of system of systems. And that's a theme we'll return to this week. With those interconnections, the sharing of map information as web services, we're creating a sort of geospatial infrastructure, a nervous system for the planet. And we're unique in the IT industry in the way we can share information. Nobody else does this. There's no other community that's sharing core layers like you do to help everybody thrive and do better. And collectively, this enables GIS at scale. Now, GIS continues to advance, of course, and we'll be spending a lot of time this week getting into the technology, starting in just a few minutes. We strive to continually innovate around IT advances, whether it's AI, mobility, cloud, networks, and bring those to life inside the GIS. But it's about so much more than that, creating this nervous system for the planet, outcomes that really matter, creating shared geospatial infrastructure, and accelerating and geo-enabling everything everywhere. Now, we made it about 15 minutes without getting into AI, so I had to introduce that now. Look, GIS is being enhanced with AI. We'll spend a lot of time the next few days. Some of you are already doing this. But it's really important. We're not replacing GIS with AI. We're infusing GIS with AI. And in fact, it's not new. We've been doing Geo AI as a community for many years, but we're seeing it accelerate into many new fields and many new methods and approaches, including assistants and agents that we'll be spending time on this week. But our world needs a lot more than technology. So before we spend the rest of our days getting deep into the tech, I just want to acknowledge how important your work is. It's vital in determining what comes next, creating this culture of sharing and collaboration, transforming how we understand the world, how we collaborate and solve problems, and integrating everything we know. You're at the heart of this. You, the GIS professionals of our world, the thriving community here in New Zealand, are critical participants in the evolution of our planet. You're helping build the systems, build the information that maintain, manage, and integrate everything everywhere. You're the key. Now, I'd like to welcome one of my colleagues to join me on stage as we start to pivot into the technology. This is Sarah St. Ruth. She is one of the executive leaders of our product management group, and she gets a little excited about field GIS. So welcome, Sarah.
Thanks, Brian. Kia ora, everyone. I think that's for you, not for me. Hello, kia ora. I'm Sarah St. Ruth. I am incredibly honoured to be with you here today. You can maybe tell from the accent, I'm not from nearby, and this has been a destination I've always wanted to come to. But from a professional standpoint, I've had some incredible conversations with this community about how you're using the technology, and I'm excited about us continuing those conversations this week.
All right, let's dive into the product. So I wanted to start by framing this slide because this is the foundation of the way that we think about ArcGIS today. ArcGIS is a comprehensive geospatial platform on which you create the systems and solutions that move your organizations forward. And it's pillared by Pro, Enterprise, and Online, the core foundations of the platform, delivered as software, SaaS, and PaaS. And some of you are using it in all three ways. And collectively, it delivers many capabilities, including mapping, imagery, and data management, just to name a few.
So I love this slide because it starts with us, right? The GIS professionals. But we actually serve a huge community of users. We serve our engineers out in the field. We serve our executives with maps and analysis that helps decision making. But really, why are systems designed this way is because of the work that you, as the New Zealand geospatial community and your fellow geospatial community around the world, tell us what you need. You tell us that you need to be able to share these maps. You tell us that you need to be able to put context around them. So for me, yeah, the system does this, but it does it because of how you use the technology and advocate for geospatial.
And we've seen a wonderful change over the last 15 years where GIS professionals used to spend their time making maps. Maybe you still do. But also now you are creating this living ecosystem of users. You're publishing maps, you're building field applications, you're building the enterprise backbones that make this whole community come to life.
And we're doing this across lots of different places, applications, right? We're doing it from the desktop. But we're also publishing that into the web and using them in applications which have been curated for that user group. Or we take them out into the field. You're going to hear me say field and mobile a lot. I'll prep that for you right now. But this is what you're doing. You're actually enabling it across the organization through these applications. And we're going to go into a fair few of these in just a moment.
I was blown away by the examples that Scott showed earlier.
Oh,
The
yeah.
applications that you're all building are phenomenal. Now, behind these applications, of course, is the enterprise backbone of ArcGIS. And this is really critical area of focus for Esri. We know that you need the powerhouse behind these applications to scale well, to be secure, to be reliable, and to work as a first-tier enterprise IT platform. So this is a commitment that Esri's been making with deep research and development and a lot of enhancements in some of the less exciting, non-functional areas, I guess we'll say.
Yeah. We'll show you the exciting stuff as well.
Now, one of the other things that I'd like to reference is this evolving landscape of the GIS professional. For a long time, our industry was dominated by maps and spatial analysis used to do projects or studies, an environmental impact assessment, planning where to put a new store, things like that. That still goes on. It's very important. At the same time, we've seen the rise of what I'll call mission systems, enterprise systems that support a user base that's using them every day, sometimes 24/7, to do critical work. So these are always on core mission systems. But the third pattern on the right is really interesting because it starts to bring it all together as an enterprise platform, meaning we're interconnecting our mission systems, we're giving the project teams a place to be working that's connected to the larger GIS ecosystem, and enabling and integrating entire organizations and communities through this enterprise platform approach. And to do this well, we have to integrate with lots of other technologies. We're living in a world where ArcGIS is becoming the IT system for where, and it needs to interoperate with cloud platforms, with things like Salesforce, ServiceNow, and of course, Microsoft and Autodesk that you hear a lot more about even in just a few minutes with Sarah.
Yeah. So I'm about to take you through what we're doing and where we're advancing, and it really is across the whole system. You know, we can start with the traditional mapping technology and being able to improve how we do symbology, how we render the maps, the speed of which we can show this information. Then we've got maybe some newer topics, right? We've got 3D. Although it's been around for a while, it's really starting to come into its maturity. And obviously we've got AI, and we're going to talk about that a lot at the conference. But one thing that isn't on these slides, but definitely I have to say this is my job as a product manager. What we actually spend a huge amount of time on is increasing performance, is addressing, hate to say it, issues. Unfortunately, there are a few. So we do spend a huge amount of our time making sure that the actual system can perform and can scale and is adaptable for your use cases.
Yeah, I'd like to expand on that. There's a reason we call this a users conference. We're here to listen to you. This is your event to share with each other and also share with us. So please, please speak up to Eagle and any of us from Esri while you're here this week and beyond, and share where we can do better. We work for you, and we always want to put in priority all the things that we're building. So that's part of Sarah's job, is to listen to many voices and rack and stack what's most important to you. So please be vocal. Tell us what we're doing poorly. Yeah. You can also tell us what we're doing well. We like that too.
We do.
Yes, and we love your ideas about what you'd like to see us do next. So please be open, share your feedback. We really appreciate it. Now we're going to get a little deeper into the technology now, and which means I need to get out of the way because she knows the tech better than I do. So I'll leave it to you, Sarah, and I'll see you all around.
Thanks, Brian. Okay, so let's dive into the products. We're going to start with one of our foundational products, ArcGIS Pro. Now, I'm hoping in the room that you're all using ArcGIS Pro now, and you've moved over from ArcMap, as it is going to retire next year. So we've focused releases on really bringing in the user-driven improvements. So we spend a lot of time going through those requirements, feedback from events like this. And from that, in ArcGIS Pro, we've been doing a number of things. We've been looking at how do we support multi-user projects. We've been looking at how do we bring in support for new data formats like Parquet and NoSQL. But we've also focused on how do we make the tooling smarter. You'll see some examples later in the demo about, later in a demo, about how we're doing that and using AI to help assist. In ArcGIS Enterprise, well, it continues to evolve. It's oftentimes the core GIS infrastructure for organizations. Perhaps you're deploying it on-premise, maybe you've got it in cloud infrastructure, or maybe you've even got it in a hybrid environment. You'll see that there's lots of pillars to ArcGIS Enterprise, and we've been trying to enhance each one of those at all of the releases. So making the apps more powerful, being able to support imagery and imagery management better. But for a lot of times, we're also looking at how can we improve system reporting. So we've got improved support for Kubernetes, but we've also got better ways to manage and monitor your deployment with ArcGIS Monitor. These updates are all about making enterprise more scalable, more transparent, and easier to manage, wherever or however you deploy it. ArcGIS Online. I was going to ask the audience for this, and actually, if somebody can shout out, does anyone know how old ArcGIS Online is? No one want to hazard a guess? Okay, well, it's 12 years old, which is kind of crazy to me. And with that comes millions of users and tens of millions of maps and items which are shared daily. Recent updates include, again, new tools for imagery analysis, interpretation, and also bulk administration, because again, administration is part of what we do. So one thing that I'm particularly excited about is the introduction of Model Builder into the map viewer. I actually started my career as a support analyst for desktop, and Model Builder was one of the areas I looked after. I'm really excited about the fact that we can now chain together these different analysis tools, and we can repeat this analysis, and it's just one click. So it's definitely worth taking a look, especially if you use Model Builder today in desktop. So we talked about the foundational products. What I want to talk about now is what makes up our maps, and we start right at the beginning, which is content. So I am going to ask you to put your hands up. Who uses the Living Atlas today? Okay. There's a few of you where you don't have your hands up, but I bet you use base maps. Base maps are part of the Living Atlas. But if you're not so familiar with what the Living Atlas entails, it's a curated set of ready-to-use maps and layers, and it covers everything, right? It covers infrastructure, demographics, hazards, habitats, and hydro. It includes contributions from around the world, but it also includes contributions from right here in Aotearoa. Oh gosh, I've been practicing that, so hopefully I pronounced it okay. You'll find rich foundational layers for New Zealand that save you a lot of time because you're not having to process that data before you bring it into your maps. You've got land parcel information from LINS. You've got river statistics from NIWA. And you've got other layers such as rail from Kiwi Rail. And this curation of layers, it's growing rapidly, but it's really important. It's actually built by you, the GIS community. I'm personally really excited about a new 3D base map. I don't want to steal anybody's thunder because I know we're talking about this later, but there's advancements in this as well that, you know, if you're not using Living Atlas today, go and take a look. I'm going to talk very briefly now about actually our data, right? The stuff that you manage day to day. We can think about these as features, as layers. We can think about that in the geodatabase where we store our data. Then we edit and keep that system of record up to date. And then we can think about integration. And I like to think about integration in a number of steps. So integration is, it goes beyond just me. So it's integrating with wider business workflows. And then we can talk about other systems too. So a couple of things that I just wanted to highlight here, for example, is that we have, again, support. You can see this for NoSQL and GeoParquet. We've got the support for data pipelines. Definitely take a look at those if you're bringing in other system information. And then you're going to hear a theme, which is I love editing, as Brian mentioned. I'm excited about the attribute rule templates. You apply these at the geodatabase, and it makes sure that every time you edit your data, it's adhering to those business rules. So these updates, they're all about making data management more efficient, scalable, and aligned with modern infrastructure. Mapping and cartography. Well, I will definitely confess that a beautiful map brought me to understanding what GIS is and geospatial. It's incredibly powerful to be able to see information this way. as well as beautiful to look at. In this space, what we're doing is we're just trying to make it easier and provide more tools to be able to better surface that data for you. So we're bringing in enhancements to symbology, labeling, layouts. We're supporting capabilities such as being able to have a dual scale bar, for example. So we're just making the process of making maps easier. Brian talked about some of the areas that we can apply GIS to answer questions. That really starts with spatial analysis. We have in the system today over 2,000 models, tools, and methods. You're going to see some of these demonstrated in just a moment. And it covers everything. It covers everything from feature and raster analysis to spatial statistics, machine learning, and being able to support analysis on big data. So we're going to transition now slightly into, we've built our maps, we've done our analysis. Now we're sharing our data. And I want to start with web mapping. Web mapping is really powerful. You can actually start here. You can bring together the layers that you need, you can symbolize them, and you can create and share them with your users. So some of the capabilities that we've brought in here, for example, is just more smart mapping tools. We've brought in AI assistants to help you use Arcade. Have we got folks learning Arcade in the room? Yeah, we've got folks who have got Arcade and learning it on their to-do list when they finally get around to it. Yeah, okay. Well, now we've got some AI assistants to make that a little easier. Experience Builder, it's a modern framework for sharing maps and applications to your users. It's got lots of different low-code and no-code tools, and ready-to-use widgets and templates. And if you've yet to use Experience Builder, I definitely recommend taking a look at Express mode. One of the things that I'm excited about is editing, and a little bit nerdy about it. And two things that we're bringing into Experience Builder we have is the ability to select multiple features and do one attribute update, so batch attribute updates. We're also bringing in tools to create spatial features such as freehand editing. Here, it's all about time saving. And yeah, there's a ton of stuff in here, so I definitely recommend taking a look. Dashboards play a key role in turning data into insight. I work with folks who deploy field applications, and as much as I see field maps in Survey 123, do I see a dashboard too that goes alongside this. Each release, we're focusing on being able to make this look and feel like one of your system applications with increased theming and styling. But we're also bringing in better locale support, such as being able to set a time zone for a dashboard. Story maps continue to grow rapidly. Now, I've been told there's a story maps competition that's running until about 7 p.m. today, and the prize of which is a trip to San Diego to come meet. Well, you can meet me here, but you can also meet all of our wonderful colleagues and the wider geospatial community. So it's definitely worth building a story map if you haven't got one already to go. But there's millions of stories which have been published across industries and communities. They help you put maps at the center of your story, but you're able to combine this with narrative. New enhancements have allowed you to use infographics, again, to better tell those stories. So, who's tried Web Editor? Okay, cool. Okay, so in a previous life, I used to look after web editing apps. And what I love about them is that they're focused environments for editing. They make it easier for people, including us as GIS professionals, to capture and edit data. But it also means that we can give that task to other people and maintain that data integrity. So Web Editor, it continues to simplify editing. We're bringing in contextual tools, support for utility networks. What's really new and exciting is the fact that you can now take a configured web editor and save that. So you've got a web editor instant app template. And speaking about instant apps, they're all about speed and simplicity. So in just a few clicks, you can actually just take a map and put it into one of these templates. Okay, field operations. I could have spent my entire time up here, probably could have taken Brian's time too, and told you about what's new, what's coming, and workflows that I've seen you in the New Zealand community use our apps for. But I was asked not to do that, so I'm going to give you a quick overview. There's 4 key pillars that we develop field operations apps for. We think about how can we make it easier for you to be able to plan and coordinate the work that needs to be done in the field. And we're doing this via a new capability called tasks, which you're going to see in the second part of the demonstration, the second part of the plenary. I'm really excited about this, and if you want to have a conversation whilst I'm here, I'd love to talk to you about how you think you could use this. Then we think about situational awareness, and this is all about making sure that your teams have the information they need to be informed and to perform the work that they need to be able to do in the field. And we do this typically through rich maps and access to your organizational data in the field. When we think about going out into the field, we typically think about data capture. That's usually what people start using our apps for. And we've got 3 applications which facilitate data capture. You've got Field Maps, Survey 123, and Quick Capture. And you're going to see how that's used in just a moment. And then we've got integration, and that's really about making sure that the data is bidirectional. There's no ETL processes. You're getting data straight from the field, updated in your system of record. And then the folks out in the field are getting access to that operational data immediately. So I could tell you everything that's coming. So come to my stream session, because we are going to talk about a lot more in detail there. But here we've got tasks. We're bringing in AI assistance, and we're increasing our support for utility networks in the field. Okay. So let's jump out of the apps for a moment and into some of the system capabilities. We're moving into this part of the platform where GIS meets 3D, reality capture, and digital twins. ArcGIS supports powerful workflows across analytics, visualization, and data management of 3D data. This helps us model, understand, and interact with the world in new ways. For example, you could be extracting buildings, point cloud processing, modeling urban digital twins that help inform the work that we want to do. And you're going to be able to explore these environments in a new XR viewer. Now, these tools, they're enabling a richer, more immersive geospatial experience. And it's where GIS stops feeling like a map and more like a living model of the world. ArcGIS is also a 4D system. So what do I mean by that? It means that we can bring in live data, live spatial temporal data from lots of different sensors, live systems, and external platforms into one view on a map. So this could be aircraft positions, it could be stream from your AVL systems, IoT sensors. And the idea of this is it can help support improved decision-making. So with each release, what we're concentrating on is stronger support for connectors to other systems, making it easier to bring in this real-time data into your GIS workflows. And with ArcGIS Enterprise version 12, coming in beta is ArcGIS Velocity. And again, this is kind of the next generation of being able to bring real-time data into ArcGIS Enterprise. ArcGIS supports a full spectrum of imagery workflows. So this can be satellite and aerial imagery to drone-based site capture. But the landscape's changing. It's becoming easier than ever to access, process, and analyze this type of data. For example, tools like SiteScan and Drone2Map support the full drone workflow, from flight planning to being able to produce outputs like 3D meshes, true ortho, and point clouds, which can be then used for measurements for understanding how our assets are performing in the field. So I want to just briefly highlight some of the focused extensions for ArcGIS. For example, ArcGIS Maritime supports the production of data and charts compliant with international standards. Workflow Manager helps coordinate tasks. We're seeing more and more organizations model their indoor environments. So we're going to make it easier for you to bring your data in, and we're going to show you a technique for this in just a moment. I keep saying in a moment, it's actually the next part of the plenary. But what's this doing? It's actually supporting better asset management and more focused operational workflows. So let's talk for a moment about integration. Brian mentioned this a moment ago about how ArcGIS has to integrate with your other business systems, and we're making it as easy as we can. This is where we're focusing a lot of effort. So through our partnership with Microsoft, ArcGIS is enabled across the 365 suite. So whether it's using it in Excel, integrating with Teams, being able to see geospatial information in Power BI, or for me personally, I see a lot of Power Automate being used with field workflows, making sure data is not just in our system, but maybe in SharePoint or other systems. There's going to be an awesome demo from the Eagle team coming up, which is going to show you the breadth of what you can do with ArcGIS and Microsoft 365. And you can see Fabric here as well. So with geoanalytics for Fabric, we're continuing to bring location intelligence to knowledge workers across the organization at any scale. So we talked about integration with Microsoft. I just want to take a moment to talk about Autodesk. So with our partnership with Autodesk, what we've actually been able to do is open up our standards, open up our data formats, and they've done the same. This means that we can share data seamlessly between AEC and GIS platforms. This is all about connecting data, systems, and people. We can think of it as being able to be able to understand design within GIS and geo-enabling the AEC world. Now, I'm going to finish on this, which is maybe a little strange slide to finish on, but this is actually the kit which supports all of the development you've just seen. So, for example, in my world, we actually use the ArcGIS SDK for Kotlin, Swift, and .NET MAUI to build field maps, Survey 123, and Quick Capture. So I just wanted to highlight everything that we're building is built with this, and you've got access to this. So if you do need to build your own applications, maybe you need to automate some workflows, you have got a full set of tools to do this. So I'm really excited about having conversations with you all. This is just a brief look at what's coming in the system. But yeah, no, thank you very much. And I'll pass you back over to Scott.
Well done. Thank you very much, Sarah. So if you didn't get a sense of Sarah's enthusiasm for field maps, then you will over the next couple of days. So yeah, I just wanted to reiterate what both Brian and Sarah said is that they are at this conference for the next few days. They've both got their areas of focus. They're very keen to hear from you, to connect with you, to learn about how GIS is being used here in your places of work. And so please do connect with them, especially, as Sarah said, on the area of field apps. Hands up if you've got field, maybe I've asked this question before, but hands up if you're using field mobile apps at all. Okay, it's like 76.3% roughly. So I think, yeah, you folks definitely take the time to chat to Sarah. She's really keen to hear about your workflows and how you're using it. So we thought since we're back at Tapai here in Christchurch, thought it was only fitting that we hear a little bit about how GIS is being applied here in Christchurch City, and specifically from Christchurch City Council. So to this end, we've been very excited to be able to invite Anurag Madan, who's the CIO and the head of digital at Christchurch City Council, to come along and share a little bit about the work that he and his team are doing using GIS to help their city carry out its important missions. Please join me in welcoming Anurag.
Tēnā kato katoa, nau mai harimai. A very warm welcome to everyone from New Zealand, from this city, as well as from further afield. And I hope that you guys have a fantastic time over the next 3-4 days. It's absolutely a pleasure for me to be here and come and talk to you about the story of the council and how we are using some of the products that you've been hearing about at the start of the session. I have joined the council in 2023, so it's just been over 2 years. But the journey of ArcGIS or Esri platform started with the council in 2019. And obviously, as you are looking at technology sets, you reach points in your life cycle of a particular product where you need to review a number of things due to the challenges, demands, and everything else that are going on. And I think that's where the team started looking at the Esri platform as the going forward technology for geospatial information and management, et cetera. Now, what happened there is that they had a bit of a dual journey that they carried on for a few years because these migrations and transitions aren't easy. It requires a very considered effort because everything you do in the space is pretty much to the analogy of flying the plane and changing the engine at the same time. So you needed to make sure that your current offerings and everything else that you're supporting the community and the council with carry on while you start looking at navigating your way onto new tool sets. And also looking at making sure that the change management associated with everything else happens. So that journey took us a wee while. In 2024 is when we did the final switch and pivot from our back then platform to ArcGIS as our core sort of backbone of this geospatial platform. And as it stands, over the last 6 years, just to give you a sense of size and scale, we've got 1,300 geospatial data sets that we manage that cover 1,500 square kilometers of area, out of which 300 of that is for urban. So that sort of is giving you hopefully a bit of a size and scale of what we are sort of managing through this platform. It is supported by a team of 10, core team, but obviously there are a lot of other tentacles of this capability that go wider in the council. And I'll be touching on some of those as I sort of flick through the presentation. So let's start with why. Why does this matter? I mean, you are all experts in this area. You probably live and breathe this every day. But you can see that consumption of information is just going in a hockey stick effect. You're finding new ways and techniques to share information, engage with the public, help local councils, governments, organizations make decisions about what they want to do and where they're trying to go. So at the heart of why we're doing all of these things is helping make better decisions so that we can have better, safer communities. And there are things that we can apply. There are use cases we have applied to a number of them where decisions can be made about a local area and help inform certain what-if scenarios so that the right things can be done in the planning stages before a final decision is made. Making sure that what we are delivering to our citizens is efficient. And last but not least, our engagement with the residents, with the citizens is strong. So this capability helps us achieve some of those things. The data that supports this platform, that is where our role becomes more and more critical. And we take that quite seriously. So ArcGIS, as I said, is the backbone of our capability, but it has a strong support from our BI and data warehouse platforms and is also integrating to our core system, SAP. Now, this technology set, from an architecture perspective, is sound. It is making sure that we are connected to the source of truth so that the information that is being surfaced is accurate and reliable. So when people are going about making decisions, it is probably going to take them in the right direction and not mislead them. So data quality, accuracy is absolutely paramount. And to support that, what you see on the left there is things like the Public Records Act, the data quality framework, and a governance framework we have put into place. So the role that we play in there is making sure that we are providing the guardrails and providing some quality assurance guidance to make sure that if data is being used, it is being used in the right way, people are making the right interpretation of what that means, and just guiding them to make sure that whatever output they are producing through it is going to be sensible and is going to be reflecting what we are providing through our data platforms. Now, we can have the best technologies in place, But here is a little bit that we have done extra on top of that, and I think this has been talked in terms of the story maps, which I'll touch on a little bit as well. But our self-service offering that we have implemented, you can see some of the stats in there in terms of how widely it is being used. And this is enabling the ecosystem to harness the investment the council has made in the geospatial platform and derive more value out of it. So, I won't read the numbers out to you, but we are very proud of having accomplished such a widespread use of our self-service platform. And this is not just externals to the council. We have staff within the council who are using this self-service platform to implement or to offer story maps or other capabilities that are helping the community. Which brings me to the story maps. So I'm talking about 3 of these here. So the first one, and I think, by the way, you can go and have a read of these. They're quite easy to access. Stormwater story. So this is a commitment that is sitting between the council and Environment Canterbury, where we are managing the stormwater in the city, but we have some compliance obligations. Now, I think there is a section or something, 61, that we need to comply within and report every year to the regional council. Now, one way to understand what that is to read that document. The other way is you can probably go and have a very engaging interaction with this story map to actually understand how stormwater is being managed in the city. The second one, what am I drinking? Probably says itself. This is basically telling you the journey of the water from the Waimariki River all the way to the tap on which you fill your water and drink it. And again, a very engaging story that has been implemented through one of the content creators in our self-service model that is quite widely used. It's quite easy for people to go and access and understand how the whole process works. And the last one, which is something that we are very proud of, is actually the creation of the Living History Walk, which is, if you want to know what the Christchurch CBD looked like in the 1800s, this was developed by the chief archivist in the council. And it has also won an Alchem Award, as you can see with the little cup on top. So again, quite an engaging sort of interaction you can do. You can actually just walk around the city with your phone, and you'll be able to listen to the various aspects in the walk and hear about what was happening around those spots in the 1800s with pictures and everything else on it. So again, another example of how you can drive more value out of the platforms that we have put into place. There was talk about Survey 123 and workforce in the prior presentations, and we have certainly used that quite well in the building warrant of fitness area. Now, one of the things we have seen in there is that the backlog of some of these things getting processed timely has just gone up incredibly since we put that in place. This was also into some good runnings for awards. We didn't get one of them, but that aside, it has certainly made the life of the quality assessors as well as the businesses that are involved in the process so much better. And we are furthering that. Now we are going to be starting to looking at the swimming pools and seeing how we can take the same concept, the same architecture, and help with some of those things. Asset management is one of the key things. Now, the council has got close to $1.8 billion worth of assets that they need to manage. And Survey 123, which is quite well integrated with our core SAP platform, plays a very pivotal role in making sure that the asset condition management and everything else is done very well. The data accuracy and integrity is managed and maintained, and it is certainly quite heavily used by our field staff, be it in Three Waters, be it in the facilities team, etc. So again, we are utilizing some of these things out of the box. We are trying to make sure that we don't try and recreate what has already been created through a lot of research and development that has gone in building those tools, but we are just harnessing and applying that to our use case, making sure that we can provide the information at the fingertips to the end users so they can go about doing their work more efficiently and effectively. And I think in the spirit of sharing, which is also the purpose of some of these this conference, please do go and visit our open data portal. All of the information that I have given you some snippets of at a high level, you can access it. And if you have interest in any of the data sets that will fit your industry or your use case, by absolute, please do get in touch with us and we will support you in terms of how you could harness some of the information. There is a lot of information from a self-service perspective already available on it, but obviously if you need some extra help, I've got some of the key team members from my team in the conference here. So you can feel free to reach out. Chris Sharman, he's sitting right here in front. So he's the one who leads that team. So by all means, if you need some guidance or want to know more about it, please do get in touch. So now that we have settled on our going forward architecture, we've got stability on the platform, we are now in a position to innovate at speed. Now, some of the things are already underway, but we are now beginning to look at 3D and looking at how we could sort of support the digital twin construct and development and journey here in the council. It is not just from we want to do it. It's also going to have applications in terms of looking at scenario plannings for resilience purposes. Mother Nature has been playing games with us in the last sort of 12 to 14 months. You must have all experienced, different parts of the world getting hit with something or the other, temperatures rising, winds not stopping, rainfall, records being broken, right? So we need to start thinking about, well, how do we help facilitate scenario planning stuff? So it is quite important from an emergency management perspective as well. One of the things that we are well and truly underway with is looking at the AI and the machine learning capability to be able to look at the tree canopies for in the city, to look at our power infrastructure and see how we can protect it. Now, over and above doing that, working with Orion, what we can also do is start looking at sustainability implications of some of those, and also looking at how that could play a role in terms of our carbon credits and stuff like that. So again, multitude of value propositions that are coming out of some of the technologies that are in play right now. And there's more to come. So look, those were just some high-level things I wanted to quickly run you through in terms of giving you an overview of the introduction of ArcGIS or the Esri platform into the council, where we have come and where we're going. And I hope that this will be of some value to you in terms of what you are trying to do and what you are trying to tackle, and it sort of supports that going forward. We are here to talk to you if you need to interact with us, and I hope that we can contribute to the user community in the best way possible, being a council and sharing the investment we have done and the asset we have built so it can be applied wider outside our use. And with that, I'll probably wish you all the very best. Enjoy the conference, but don't forget the city is also there. Please have fun in the evening. It's just a great day out there today. I was walking in, beautiful sunshine, and I think it'll stay a bit longer because we are soon approaching daylight savings. So make the most of it, team. Have a great time. Have a great 2 days, and I hope that I get time. I'm not sure when the gala is. If I can, I'll certainly try and join that. I won't be costumed up, but I'll certainly come and see what excitement is happening. With that, thank you very much. Have a great day.
Thank you very much, Anurag. So you heard that, he's coming to the conference. You might be the only person not in costume. We're just saying we have a spare costume if you can make it. Just putting it out there, okay. Thank you very much, Anurag, for sharing both the vision behind the work that the GIS team at Christchurch City do, as well as some of the tools they're using, and you'll see some synergies between what we heard earlier and some of the visions that the team have. So as Anurag said, it's a beautiful day out there. And we also said that learning, sharing, and connecting was a key part of our event. So what we're going to do now is take a bit of a break. I'm going to give you the chance to do that connecting thing. We've got some food served out in the foyer, outside here in the Dobson foyer, so it's out that side on the front, facing the glass. If you do want to wander out and get some sunshine, that's great. Connecting is the main thing I'm going to task you to go and do. Find someone who you haven't maybe met before, connect her on GIS. And then we're going to ask you all to come back and be back in your seats at 3:15. So it's a bit of an extended break. We want to focus on the time to connect here. Be back here at 3:15. We're kicking off sharp at 3:15. We've got some amazing demonstrations we want to share with you that show the technology in action. Thank you very much, and see you back here at 3:15.